guys, it's Izzy here, and today I'm going to be showing you all of the books that I would like to read in April of 2022. Let's get into it. I will admit that I forgot to film or write a script for this video, so I'm sorry that this is going to be me winging it throughout the video. I just had a very busy weekend, but again, I don't want to make excuses. So let's get into it. So the first book I did start on April 1st. I am filming this on April 4th, and that is Yellow Bird, Oil, Murder, and a Woman's Search for Justice in Indian Country by Sierra Crane Murdoch. This is a nonfiction. I am doing the audiobook. That is just something with nonfiction now. Every nonfiction I read, I am going to be doing the audiobook because usually it is the author of the book narrating it. So I feel like that just adds to the experience. Getting to hear their emotions and so on. So this is when Lissa Yellowbird was released from prison in 2009. She found her home, the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation in North Dakota, transformed by the Bakken oil boom. The landscape had been altered beyond recognition, her tribal government swayed by corporate interests, and her community burdened by a surge in violence and addiction. When Lissa learned that a young white oil worker, Christopher Casey Clark, had disappeared from his reservation work site, that few people were actively looking for him, and she became particularly concerned. Yellowbird traces Lissa's steps as she obsessively hunts for clues to Clark's disappearance. Her pursuit of Clark is also a pursuit of redemption, as Lissa atones for her own crimes and reckons with generations of trauma. Drawing on 8 years of immersive investigation, Sierra Crane Murdoch has produced a profound examination of the legacy of the systematic violence inflicted on a tribal nation and the tale of extraordinary healing. So I like that this book isn't only focusing on the murder or disappearance and murder of Christopher Clark, which obviously is important, but it also focuses on reservation life and what issues are happening on reservations. I read a fictional book last year, which was Winter Coats, and that takes place in South Dakota, but we do have some references to that reservation where it takes place. But there's a lot of similar issues like drug addiction and just crime on the reservations. And I've learned a lot just so far, the 148 pages that I've read. But I will be reading this book this week. Next, we have a graphic novel, and that is Batman Detective Comics Volume 1, Faces of Death by Tony S. Daniel. These aren't things I'm thrilled about, but they're books that I own and just want to get through, and if I like it, I will continue the series. If I don't, I will be unhauling it and giving it to a family member. So this is: the Joker has gone missing from Arkham Asylum, and even Batman cannot comprehend the grisly evidence the madman leaves behind. Something strange and terrible is happening in Gotham City, and it only seems to revolve around a new villain known as the Dollmaker. So never heard of the Dollmaker, so that could be kind of fascinating. I do like the Joker. I think like everyone does, so that does make this kind of more exciting. But yeah, I'm just feeling in Batman's, I feel like just the female characters are very over-sexualized, especially compared to all these other like superhero comics I've read, X-Men, and just a few other like Marvel ones. And I have read other DCs, but I just feel like in Batman, everyone, even the men, like it's the only graphic novel, like instead of Saga, which is made for adults, where the characters are like having sex, and I'm like, okay. But yeah, Batman. Then we have a thriller. I got this from Book of the Month for free since I am a best friend with them, and that is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. So Ike Randolph has been out of jail for 15 years with not so much as a speeding ticket in all that time. But a black man with cops at the door knows to be afraid. The last thing he expects to hear is that his son Isaiah has been murdered along with Isaiah's white husband Derek. Ike has never fully accepted his son but is devastated by his loss. Derek's father, Buddy Lee, is almost as ashamed of Derek for being gay as Derek was ashamed of his father's criminal record. Buddy Lee still has contacts in the underworld though, and he wants to know who killed his boy. Ike and Buddy Lee, two ex-cons with little in common other than a criminal past and a love for their dead sons, band together in desperate desire for revenge. In their quest to do better for their sons in death than they did in life, These hardened men will confront their own prejudices about their sons and each other as they rain down vengeance upon those who hurt their boys. So revenge, it seems like, and I think that's interesting, that it's fathers getting revenge for their sons. I feel like in a lot of in real life and in crime, it's only the mothers who are trying to avenge or get revenge for their child who was murdered. We never hear it from the father's perspective in books and in real life. I mean, in real life we probably do, but I'm not a true crime junkie. I know a lot of people are. It's just not something really for me. But I do think this will be super interesting to see that paternal bond. We have a fantasy, a young adult fantasy that I got a while back. It was a gift, and that is why I didn't unhaul it. I have a huge stack of books I'm unhauling that the majority are young adult fantasy. But since this was a Christmas gift a few years ago, I did want to keep it. I do want to give it a shot. So this is The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye. So Vika Andreeva can summon the snow and turn ash into gold. Nikolai Karamov, I don't know Russian, can see through walls and conjure bridges out of thin air. They are enchanters, the only two in Russia, and with the Ottoman Empire and the Kazakhs threatening, the Tsar needs powerful enchanters by his side. So I like how this is like a historical fantasy, that we are in real places. We are actually in Russia. We have the Ottoman Empire, Kazakhs, and because a lot of times it'll just be Russian-inspired fantasy, so I'm like, oh my gosh, what part in Russian history, where in Russia are we, that kind of thing. When this, we actually are in Russia and maybe in the Ottoman Empire, since it sounds like it's war. I don't know what time period this is because I don't. But I am fascinated as it is taking place in like the real world, so I don't know if this will be more on the magical realism side or actual high fantasy, because you see both. So I am excited to get to this one, even if it is young adult fantasy. So next we had two books that aren't in When I Pull Out the Hat. These are just two that I've added to my TBR personally. So this one is Medici Legacy by Matteo Struckel. This is the last book in the trilogy. I've been reading the trilogy a book a month, so I'm going to be finishing this month. This one is about Catherine. So Fontainebleau, I don't know. I'm not French. I actually am part French, like a quarter, but the French Quarter. No. But okay, 1536. Francis II, Dauphin of France, is dead, poisoned, and the royal court believe Catherine de' Medici to be the murderer. With the heir apparent dead, her husband Henry will now be the next king of France, and Catherine's family is known to stop at nothing in the pursuit of power. So we did skip a generation of Catherine's like parents' generation and just went straight to her, which is interesting that they did that. But they did that with Piero too, but I feel like Piero was more focused on, we didn't see these characters like at all, like her, yeah. But yes, this is the last book in a trilogy. We're not really going to have any of the same characters that we had in the first two books, so that should be interesting. I'm sure we'll get reference to them, but we're starting in a new country and everything, so can't wait to get to this one. And lastly, to continue my 5-star prediction project, I did a video on that earlier this year. These are books that I think will be 5 stars, so this is the third one in that, and we are going to the fantasy genre now with The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin. So again, I think this is more magical realism, but Goodreads does list it as a fantasy, so that is what I am listing it as. So in 1969, in New York City's Lower East Side, and word has spread of the arrival of a mystical woman, a traveling psychic who claims to be able to tell anyone the day they will die. The golden children, 4 adolescents on the cusp of self-awareness, sneak out to hear their fortune, and it just goes through their lives trying to show if her prediction is right or wrong. And we know I love when it's generational, kind of like that, when we go through multiple decades. That's just one of my favorite tropes. And the 60s, New York, can't go wrong with that. For my mood reading, I am picking up classics. My ebook for the month is a buddy read with some friends, and that is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandra Dumas. And I am doing that on ebook. As I said, I'm only like 8% in, which is still 100 pages. 100 pages and only at 8%. Yeah, it's quite the intimidating book, but if you guys would like to pick it up along with me this month, do feel free to do so. And then I am just reading other classics throughout the month. I've read To Kill a Mockingbird already, and I am starting one by Gabriel Garcia Marquez tonight. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe, and be sure to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!